Tonight, the historic criminal trial of Donald Trump now underway.
Nobody's ever seen anything like it.
The People versus Donald J. Trump, an unprecedented case against a former U.S. president. Why dozens of potential jurors were dismissed in just minutes. Israel vows to respond to Iran's unprecedented attack.
Iran will face the consequences for its actions.
As allies urge restraint, we break down what Israel could do next. And the kids' cartoon leaving grown-ups in tears.
I don't understand how that episode, why it made me so emotional.
How a children's show made parents want to watch.
From CBC News, this is The National with Ian Hannah-Mansing.
We begin tonight with those unprecedented moments unfolding inside a New York courtroom. Donald Trump is now the first former U.S. president to be a criminal defendant, with his trial now underway. Trump finally forced to confront those 34 felony charges in a case that involves hush money, an adult film star, and allegedly falsifying business records to cover up those payments. All of it set to be heard in front of a jury. Selecting that jury is where it starts tonight, and as Katie Simpson tells us, finding unbiased jurors, that's the challenge.
Donald Trump fought to prevent this day from ever arriving. He adamantly did not want to make this historic journey to begrudgingly become the first ever former U.S. president on criminal trial.
This is political persecution. This is a persecution like never before. Nobody's ever seen anything like it.
Trump sat alongside his lawyers as prospective jurors entered the room, 96 people in the first round. Some 50 were dismissed almost immediately for declaring they simply cannot be impartial. By day's end, not a single juror had been picked.
It's going to be a long, tedious process for the judge to make sure that you've got jurors who will actually just do what they're there to do: listen, decide, render a verdict.
Potential jurors have to answer an unusually long 42-question survey asking, have you ever attended a rally or campaign event for Donald Trump? Do you have strong opinions about how Mr. Trump is being treated in this case? And to identify how they get their news. Options include the New York Times, Fox News, and Trump's own Truth Social. Trump is facing 34 felony charges for allegedly falsifying business documents to hide hush money payments to porn star Stormy Daniels to keep their alleged affair secret during the 2016 election campaign.
Because Trump knew that her story, in combination with Access Hollywood, would be very devastating to his election hopes.
At the time, this video from the TV show Access Hollywood captured Trump bragging about sexually assaulting women.
And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Prosecutors allege the hush money payments should have been counted as election campaign contributions.
That's the theory, that basically Donald Trump cheated the system and he hid this payment, which should have been declared. And presumably, if it was declared, it may have impacted the election itself.
This trial is unfolding as momentum builds towards the presidential election, Katie.
And it's off to a slow start. Jury selection could take a couple of weeks. Trump, for his part, appeared to doze off a couple of times, according to reporters who were in the court. He says he'd rather be out on the campaign trail, but a large part of his re-election strategy is to cast himself as a victim, in this case of the justice system. It's worked so far with Republicans, though isn't tested with the rest of voters. The trial is going to bring the country right back to the heart of the 2016 campaign and some low moments that Trump may not want to remind voters of. Ian.
Katie Simpson in Washington. Israel says it will respond to the attack this weekend by Iran. The question now is when and how. This is world leaders are urging Israel to show restraint. Our Chris Brown is in Jerusalem for us tonight.
The aerial barrage Iran unleashed on Israel overnight Saturday could have caused tremendous damage. Instead, Iran telegraphed the attack in advance, giving the air defenses of Israel, the United States, and other countries time to prepare and shoot down all but a few of the projectiles. In a desert Bedouin community in Israel's south, a 7-year-old girl suffered a head injury from falling shrapnel. The children were frightened and wanted to run away from home, and that's when the missile hit, said her father. After a meeting of its war cabinet, Israel's military chief of staff vowed a response is coming.
Iran will face the consequences for its actions. We will choose our response accordingly.
Across Europe and beyond, there are calls for restraint.
We are working urgently with our allies to de-escalate the situation and prevent further bloodshed.
We have been coordinating a diplomatic response to seek to prevent escalation.
But unlike in Gaza, where Israel was largely in control and able to deflect international criticism of its conduct, it may have to listen more now. It required military coordination with the U.S. and even Israel's Arab neighbors such as Jordan to counter the Iranian strikes. We've carried out the attack on Israel in the framework of deterrence, said Iran's foreign minister, noting it was Israel that struck first by destroying its consulate in Damascus, Syria. He warned if Israel responds, Iran will not hesitate to attack again.
Even if Israel does hit back, it's going to be something quite symbolic, I think, at this point.
This Iran specialist says the country calibrated its attack to ensure Israeli casualties would be minimal, meaning Israel's response should be similar.
In a sense, they gave Israel at least a ladder to not attack in a severe way, which would force them in a way to retaliate and to kind of escalate things to a much more violent course.
The confrontation with Iran has at least temporarily shifted the world's focus away from Gaza and Israel's war with Hamas, and now also the West Bank, where violence between Israeli settlers and Palestinians has erupted.
So, Chris, increasingly this is sounding more like a case of when Israel will strike back at Iran rather than if.
It does. A key question for Israel, if it goes ahead with a reprisal, will be the reaction of its Arab neighbors. Jordan appears to have played a key role the other night by letting Israeli aircraft use its airspace. If this conflict keeps escalating, Jordan's government will be in a tough position over whether to keep helping Israel against Iran, even though its very large Palestinian population is very much against Israel's actions in Gaza. Ian.
Chris Brown reporting from Jerusalem tonight. Canada is in that chorus of countries urging Israel to show restraint.
We are clearly pushing for de-escalation, and we need to make sure that the conflict doesn't extend to the region. So that is why I've been clear to my counterpart in Israel, please take the win.
Israel has renewed its call for Canada to designate Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps as a terrorist organization. Melanie Joly says the government is still working on that amid concerns it could affect people forced to serve in the group. There are multiple reports tonight. The FBI has opened a criminal investigation into the cargo ship involved in the bridge collapse in Baltimore. Federal agents boarded the ship today. Those reports say the FBI will be investigating whether any crew had prior knowledge of mechanical problems that could have made the ship unsafe in the harbor. 6 construction workers died in the collapse. Today, searchers found a 4th body, 2 others still missing. A man who was sexually assaulted decades ago is speaking out after an arrest was finally made in the case of the so-called Woodland rapist, a series of child assaults that took place in Ontario in the 90s. Thomas Dagla now with his CBC News exclusive.
In 3 separate Ontario parks, children were each tied to a tree and assaulted. 3 decades later, police have finally charged an alleged sex predator with those attacks. And one victim is speaking to CBC News.
Police handled the situation very poorly in the beginning. They accused me of making up what happened to me to get attention.
We're concealing the man's identity because it's covered by a publication ban. He's 39 years old.
I was able to help them find evidence.
And his words are spoken by a CBC producer seen here. From the mid-90s, police hunted the unidentified attacker, dubbed the Woodland rapist, and published this composite sketch. They never made an arrest until just last month.
I was shaking when I received the call. I felt overwhelmed with joy, then sadness as I started to recall the memories of that day.
64-year-old Richard Neal is now facing 20 charges, including kidnapping and sexual assault in connection with those attacks.
He is not guilty, and certainly the presumption of innocence applies.
As for what recently led police to Neal, the victim says he was told by a detective that a relative of the accused submitted DNA to an Ancestry-type website, and that finally provided a break in the cold case.
Police agencies, investigative agencies are realizing this is a brand new tool and it's incredibly powerful.
Peel Regional Police wouldn't confirm genetic genealogy was used in this case, though the man assaulted as a child in that Brampton park recalls leading investigators to DNA evidence that may yet prove crucial.
They finally took me seriously when they connected DNA evidence found at all 3 locations where the assaults took place.
Police have found 3 victims, and they say there could be more. Thomas Daigle, CBC News, Toronto.
A proposed class action lawsuit has been filed by a former Shoppers Drug Mart franchise owner alleging the pharmacy chain and its parent company Loblaw imposed unsafe and unethical corporate practices on franchise owners. This follows a CBC News investigation into allegations by some former pharmacy employees that staff were being pushed to bill the Ontario government for medication reviews that patients didn't necessarily need. The claim has not been certified or tested in court. Loblaw says the case has no merit and that it intends to vigorously defend it. Let's turn to Ottawa now, where the federal government will table its budget tomorrow. But tonight, sources are telling Radio-Canada it will include a new tax hike for the richest Canadians. Here's Ashley Burke with what more we know.
A new pair of shoes for a budget that might feel like a retrend. The finance minister using a long-standing tradition to make clear her budget's focus is on young Canadians like these entrepreneurs, but hasn't said how she'll pay for billions in new promises, except for already signaling this.
We will not be raising taxes on the middle class.
Now Radio-Canada has learned the richest Canadians will be taxed more. Sources said big businesses will be targeted too.
That's something the New Democrats have long campaigned on, long fought for. We believe in that. And right now our focus is specifically on big corporations that are ripping off Canadians.
The Liberal government will have to bring in more revenue after a series of pre-budget announcements, from housing to artificial intelligence and a Canada-wide school food program. In total, the government's promised $38 billion in commitments over a number of years. About $17 billion of that involve loan-based programs, so $21 billion of it could hit Canada's bottom line.
We need to make sure that we're building an economy where everyone has a shot at a stable middle-class life.
But some warn taxing the wealthiest may sound good, but could have unintended consequences.
At the end of the day, companies pass these costs to consumers. That's number one. On the wealth tax, it has been tried only once in France, and it was abandoned 2 years after because it was a catastrophic measure.
We feel that taxes should be more broad-based. We shouldn't be picking winners and losers here. We think that that's not the best tax policy.
Details about how exactly the government plans to target wealthy Canadians will be announced in Tuesday's budget. Sources told Radio-Canada that it will affect less than 1% of the population. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
And Chief Political Correspondent Rosemary Barton leads our live coverage tomorrow as the budget is tabled. That starts at 4 p.m. Eastern, and she'll be back for At Issue right here on The National. And there are calls for the federal budget to address another complex issue, the rising cost of funerals and burials. As we first told you in March, unclaimed bodies are being stored in freezer units behind a hospital in St. John's. And as Mike Moore tells us, advocates say more government help is long overdue.
This storage container in St. John's is filled with bodies. That's because the main morgue is full. Some of them are seniors who didn't have the money to pay for their funerals and whose families couldn't pick up the expenses. Now, advocates want to see change.
At the end of your life, when your income is about $1,600, there's not much you can do to save $4,000 or $6,000 in order to die in dignity and be buried.
Muhammad Abdallah's senior support organization can't legally claim bodies or arrange for funeral services, which means many of their clients can end up in one of those freezers permanently.
It is a big concern, and I didn't think it was that big, that we have actually freezers outside of the hospital. I was appalled when I heard that.
Families in Newfoundland and Labrador on income support can get up to $2,300 to help with cremation or burial costs. That figure hasn't changed in nearly 2 decades. On the federal level, the Canada Pension Plan death benefit is a one-time payment of $2,500 to the estate or family, but that figure hasn't changed since 1998. Other provinces are facing a similar situation. Ontario, for example, has seen a 170% increase in unclaimed bodies since 2019. The national advocacy group Funeral Service Association of Canada says it's time to fix that problem.
The conversations that the Funeral Service Association of Canada has tried to have over the years with the federal government has fallen on deaf ears, really.
Jeff Weaver says funeral costs can range from $2,000 all the way up to $12,000. Advocates hope Tuesday's federal budget will address some of their concerns. In a statement to CBC News, a spokesperson from the Department of Finance says they can't comment. Either way, any amendments to the CPP, which is a form of support, will have to be done in conjunction with the provinces. Mike Moore, CBC News, St. John's.
The Thunder Bay Police Service is vowing to restore public trust in the force after multiple controversies dating back years. A former chief is facing charges. The current chief promising reform. But as Sarah Law shows us, some in the community say they've heard those promises before.
As the force struggles with scandal, top officials with the Thunder Bay Police are promising to do better.
I acknowledge the erosion of trust in our service by some residents, and I'm inspired by the community's desire to move forward.
But moving forward won't be easy.
Criminal allegations brought forward by the Ontario Provincial Police are deeply disturbing.
Former Police Chief Sylvie Hoth is facing 4 charges, including obstruction of justice. OPP alleged in court documents she made misleading or false statements to the Police Oversight Board. Hoth had promised reform after a 2018 investigation found evidence of systemic racism within the force.
There are barriers within the policing service, but also systemic racism, yes.
Since that 2018 report, hundreds of recommendations have been made, including outside reinvestigations into the deaths of more than a dozen Indigenous people.
The Thunder Bay Police Service leadership is a continued betrayal of that trust that First Nations have had for a long time. And I think there will be more coming.
Anishinaabe Aski Nation, which represents 49 First Nations across Northern Ontario, said in a statement, "We are disappointed that the current Chief of Police and the Thunder Bay Police Service Board have failed to acknowledge the seriousness of this situation that we are now in." Many are calling for fewer words and more action.
And reach out to Indigenous communities and reach out to our elders and be a face that's out there speaking to people and building that trust.
Some who've worked for the force say there is still a culture problem.
There's still a lot of deflection, still a lot of unanswered questions, and an inability to admit wrongdoing.
2 other current or former members of the Thunder Bay Police Force are also facing charges. Court dates are set for next month. Sarah Law, CBC News, Thunder Bay, Ontario.
Scientists are confirming tonight that the world's coral reefs may be under greater threat than ever before.
If we lose coral reefs, we're going to lose one of the most species diverse ecosystems on this planet.
What's driving the latest mass bleaching event? Next. Plus a powerful season finale for a popular cartoon.
I don't understand how that episode, why it made me so emotional.
Why Bluey is striking a chord with kids and their parents. And later, faster than a speeding train.
We always say to ourselves, why is this thing breaking down? We ought to outrun this thing one day.
The moment 2 friends try to outrun a New York subway. We're back in 2.
I'm sentencing you to 18 months of incarceration at a New Mexico women's correctional facility.
Hannah Gutierrez-Reed received that sentence for involuntary manslaughter for her role in the fatal shooting on the set of the movie Rust back in 2021. In charge of weapons on set, she loaded a live bullet into a gun that later went off while being held by Alec Baldwin. Cinematographer Helena Hutchins was killed. Baldwin has pleaded not guilty to involuntary manslaughter, and his trial is scheduled for July. Coral reefs around the world are under severe heat-related stress. causing them to turn white or even die. It's part of what's called a mass coral bleaching event. Senior international climate correspondent Susan Ormiston now with the environmental impacts.
Along the Great Barrier Reef, the coral has a fever, suffering from heat stress, turning ghost-like, a sign of mass bleaching on a global scale.
At this point, it's pretty unequivocally due to ocean warming, which is mainly driven by greenhouse gas emissions and global climate change.
February and March showed record sea surface temperatures. As they climb, the coral suffers, stops reproducing, often for years, and sometimes dies.
The oceans are acting as this big heat sink. The problem is, that capacity to absorb this heat is coming with drastic ecological ramifications. It's gotten to the point where we're seeing simultaneous coral bleaching events everywhere around the planet, essentially at the same time.
You can see the severity of the bleaching. Yellow is a watch, red, brown, and purple are the most severe, extending from the Pacific to the Indian to the Atlantic Ocean off Africa and South America. With summer heat coming, it's expected the mass bleaching will migrate northwards.
If we lose coral reefs, we're going to lose one of the most species diverse ecosystems on this planet, where 25% of known marine life live on these coral reefs.
Last summer, a marine heat wave hit the Florida Keys.
It's very challenging to watch what happened last summer and what's probably coming this summer.
We traveled with biologists implanting new coral on the reefs, focusing on species more heat resistant.
Corals have traits just like we do, and some of those traits mean that the corals are resilient to heat stress. The ones that survive and the ones that thrive are really the ones that we need to focus on.
Some of the bleached coral last summer has recovered, but this spring we are nearing the worst mass bleaching event on record. Susan Ormiston, CBC News, Toronto.
The season finale of a popular children's cartoon is getting emotional reactions from kids and adults.
I was like bawling by the end of it. I was like in tears.
Why the episode of Bluey is leaving few dry eyes. Plus, online activists find creative ways to get their messages out.
Separating their families from each other, kidnapping them, murdering them.
Are their posts being censored by shadow bans? And next, Iran's unprecedented attack on Israel. What does Iran really want, and can a full-scale war be avoided? The National breaks down the stories shaping our world. Next.
With the first pick in the 2024 WNBA draft, the Indiana Fever select Caitlin Clark.
Well, that first pick by the WNBA was no surprise. Caitlin Clark taken by the Indiana Fever. Clark playing at the University of Iowa, becoming the all-time leading scorer in collegiate basketball, men or women. Also a big night for Canada. Ontario's Aaliyah Edwards was picked 6th overall by the Washington Mystics. A little blue dog is packing a big emotional punch for plenty of parents and kids right now. The season finale of the animated series Bluey has finally been released. Jamie Strachan looks at why it has the power to make so many grown adults weep.
I feel how low it lies.
For a children's cartoon, the finale of Bluey really hit a nerve among parents.
I was like bawling by the end of it. I was like in tears.
And she's far from alone. The episode left a trail of tears across social media.
Really, I have to leave. I've absolutely got it. Which one's our room?
The Australian kids show follows Bluey the puppy, her sister Bingo, and their parents Bandit and Chili, and it's accomplished a rare feat, resonating with the whole family.
Yes, it is a kids show, but they've talked about things like divorce, death, infertility in ways that make sense to kids, but are also treated with care and kindness. And you really just don't see a lot of that, especially in like kids media.
She's upset because she doesn't want Dad to sell our house.
Anticipation has been building about this longer than usual season finale for months, and it's tackling another tough topic, moving, as Bluey's dad looks to uproot the family for a new job.
It's like a big life event that people often have to go through, and like how it kind of impacts the children, how it impacts the parents.
The show is a critical darling, A major reason, its ability to deal with big issues in a nuanced yet approachable way.
It's a bit of a secret sauce. I mean, it's kind of what most kids' TV shows are really, really gunning for. Both the kids as fans who really want to watch the show, but also parents who don't want it turned off.
No spoilers here, but the episode ends with an emotional flourish.
Afterwards, my son was like, I don't ever want to move. I always want to live in this house forever. You kind of see how these shows affect them and get them thinking about things and these like big life events.
And maybe leave a smile or some tears. Jamie Strachan, CBC News, Toronto.
Now it's time to dig deeper into the stories shaping our world. Activists sneak their politics online to keep platforms from muffling their message.
My reach was diminished. It really had a chilling effect.
But first, the world on edge, wondering how and if Israel will strike back at Iran.
Iran will face the consequences for its actions.
World leaders don't want a powder keg, but what about those two old foes locked in decades of a shadow war? So is the Middle East moving towards a larger conflict? With us now is Vali Nasser, Professor of International Affairs and Middle East Studies at Johns Hopkins University, and he is in Washington, D.C. Professor, what's your assessment of what's going to happen next in this conflict?
I think we're still in a very dangerous moment. Israel feels a lot of pressure to respond to the Iranian retaliation, largely because Israel does not want Iran to have the last word in this exchange. And also since Iran's attack was fairly sizable and came from the Iranian territory, it's a whole new baseline for the shadow war between them. And Israel is keen to sort of reestablish deterrence and essentially push back at what happened yesterday.
We've had a couple of days now, I guess, to assess what happened with those attacks from Iran towards Israel. It feels to me like Iran signaled roughly when the attacks would take place. Damage, we're told, was minor. What did Iran achieve?
So you're correct. Iran not only told the world that the attack was coming from 72 hours before, but it started the attack with drones, which take a much longer time to get to Israel and give ample warning. I think Iran's main goal, at least regardless of whether this would have been larger or smaller, was essentially political. They made a statement that they're going to retaliate if they are hit at the level and with the kind of target that Israel attacked in Damascus, that they're going to hit from Iran itself, which raises the stake for a potential war in the future. And also, this whole process kept the world on the edge for over a week. Arab countries, European countries, Canada, the United States were all basically worried about a larger war, and so were also the Israeli public. This took a toll on the global economy, on Israeli economy. So the Iranians believed that they achieved a certain degree of deterrence with Israel, not by what their missiles did, but basically making a case that if they are attacked, they will bring the world back to the edge. And they're hoping that this will translate in some kind of pressure on Israel not to attack Iranian targets the way it did.
This is a complex question, but let me ask it. You've got two different governments here, Iran and Israel. You have two different populations. And I just wonder, when you look at those governments and whatever pressure the populations can or can't put on their governments, how do you think that's affecting what happens over the next few days or weeks?
So for now, the Iranian public is not coming in the streets or really pushing back against what happened. There is a sense of nationalism, I think, that when Israel hit Iran's consulate, it didn't necessarily go down well, even with people who are opposed to the Islamic Republic at varieties of levels. And there's sort of a begrudging, if I would say, support for Iran defending its turf. In Israel, there's a lot of support for Israel also doing the same, with one exception, that the psychological pressure of missiles coming on Israel, has taken a toll on the Israeli public. So we shall see whether they will be up for this kind of tension they went through last week for one more week again if Israel were to retaliate. So I think the publics do matter in this case. And right now, I think my sense is that the Iranian public is not a pressure point on its government to desist from escalating at this point.
And what about the role of the United States with its powerful military? It has made it clear that it wants de-escalation here. Do you think, what factor do you think the U.S. will play?
I think the United States does not want to go to war in the Middle East. And the way that this whole thing started with Israel attacking the Iranian consulate and not informing Washington, and then Iran threatening retaliation, and all these European countries and US through back channels trying to get Iran to calibrate its response, essentially shows that the United States is very nervous, because if Israel continues to retaliate, Iran continues to retaliate, we would be in an escalatory cycle that would basically end with the United States entering into a war that it does not want. So it does want to deter Iran by threatening that it will support Israel and not let Iran's attacks be effective, get the Europeans, Arabs to put pressure on Iran. But it is also putting now pressure on Israel not to retaliate. So the United States is essentially trying to tamp down this conflict, regardless of the fact that it's supporting of Israel. It has a big stake in this, because this time, if this gets out of control, this is different from the Gaza war. The Gaza war could not get the United States into a hot war. A conflict with Iran will most definitely get the United States into a hot war. And so the stakes for the United States are very high, and it's seeing the next step quite differently from Israel.
Professor Nasser, it is so nice to have your analysis. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Coming up, social media videos with embedded political messages designed to maximize their reach online.
Have you noticed that when you share something on Instagram to do with Free Palestine, you get less interaction and engagement than normal?
Why some say their activism is being censored. That's next on The Breakdown. Do social media platforms police the politics you see online?
It's the summer of rage, babe!
Online activists tell us hot topics are suppressed.
Shadow banned accounts are put into a kind of invisible mode.
So they disguise their calls to action with stuff like fashion.
So say if someone does a post on Free Palestine, the comments will ask things like, where did you get your top from?
Platforms like TikTok and Instagram say they don't mess around with messaging. Anya Zolojowski went to find out why so many think they do.
Hi guys, so I'm going to teach you guys how to get long lashes. So
this looks like one of those get ready with me videos, a makeup tutorial. But keep watching. Feroza Aziz is an activist, spreading awareness about the reported Uyghur oppression in China.
Separating their families from each other, kidnapping them, murdering them, raping them.
She's using the eyelash curling as a kind of disguise to protect her message from platform censorship.
Please spread awareness, and yeah, so you can grab your lash curler again.
And to simply get more viewers. This post, 3.4 million views. Still, TikTok found the post and temporarily banned it. That's the challenge activists say they're facing online. They're fighting for free speech, to get their message out, in part by circumventing censors, real or perceived, and ultimately to get their content in front of you. This is one of those popular day in the life reels. But it's not showing a fun coffee run or a gym date. It's showing life in a bomb shelter and the wreckage in Ukraine. It's also massively popular. Activists like Valeria Shashanok are spoofing popular social media trends to educate their audience about human rights and politics.
I think that it's the most clever way to spread information about the topic. I like videos like that, even if someone will post about their daily routine. I don't know, during my daily routine in Mariupol. Mariupol now is occupied under Russian aggression.
Here's similar content from Gaza.
A day in the life vlog of what it's like to be in Gaza right now. She lays on the floor and tries to sleep in the midst of these horrifying sounds.
And another TikTok from Deja Fox.
We walked past the Supreme Court,
who advocates for abortion rights in the U.S. All these have something in common. They're siren calls.
Better ingredients, better pizza.
Disguised as fun, trendy reels.
Better, my shoes better, I work harder.
And sometimes activists have to get clever to make sure their messages get out.
But there's something you could do about it.
On Instagram and Facebook, nudity is restricted, and users can't post content that promotes harmful activities targeted at people. And take TikTok. Users aren't allowed to post content that's sexually explicit or shocking and graphic, among other violations. That can make it hard to post videos about controversial issues, like war or abortion.
Come with me to get arrested on Capitol Hill for abortion access.
Deja is one of the most outspoken activists. And she's amassed nearly 4 million likes on TikTok alone.
I think some of the hardest parts of creating content in the US is the platforms themselves. I think they can often feel kind of neutral, right? These neutral spaces where things do well or they don't, but that's not true.
Fox is an activist and digital strategist who worked on US Vice President Kamala Harris's campaign.
There absolutely is an element of strategy.
It's the summer of rage, babe. It's time to stop thanking me in the comments and get out there yourself.
She's a self-described girl's girl who posts a lot of content about reproductive justice and believes some of her reels have been flagged.
Shortly after the overturn of Roe, I had all of these complaints from TikTok, the app, right? Flagging my videos for things like grooming. When the content I had made was about reproductive care, abortion, that was legal at the time in all 50 states at the time that I made and posted the content. And retroactively, my account was punished. My reach was diminished. It really had a chilling effect on what I was able to make and create and share at a time when people needed that information more than ever.
It's really important that we remember the ways that code are informing not only our lives, but shaping how we then are able to interact with social media.
University of Waterloo professor Brianna Wiens researches online activism. She says a lot of the censorship activists warn of may not be an outright block, but what's known as a shadow ban.
And so a shadow ban is when your content isn't necessarily flagged as inappropriate, but then gets buried under other information.
Shadow banned accounts are put into a kind of invisible mode. No one except the account holder can see their own posts or comments. TikTok says shadow banning isn't a thing, and Meta tells us it's doing what it can to help creators understand when the reach of their reel may be limited. Still, creators are firm. They say shadow banning is real, and they've experienced it.
And so some of the things I do and I see generally are things like, you know, subbing out letters or words that we know are being scanned. What worked for me a year ago, 2 years ago, 6 months ago, is not the kind of thing that might work in 2 weeks.
3 Israeli hostages were gunned down by Israeli forces.
Other tactics include a duet video like this. They confuse the algorithm by layering their videos with innocuous content, like a recipe.
Taylor Swift pregnant with Travis Kelce's baby revealed at the 2024 Oscars. I just want to remind you guys that there's still a genocide happening in Gaza right now.
Or using popular hashtags that have nothing to do with the message. It's known as hash baiting.
If you can, please donate. The link is in my bio.
Multiple human rights groups have warned that platforms are silencing pro-Palestine content. We've also found isolated incidents of Israeli content being stifled. In an email, Meta tells us there is no truth to the suggestion that we are deliberately suppressing voices. But activists don't buy it.
Have you noticed that when you share something on Instagram to do with Free Palestine, you get less interaction and engagement than normal?
Adele Walton is a British-Turkish content creator and journalist. She's written about Palestine activists who've been posting about Gaza and makes pro-Palestine content herself. She says they've all been posting strategically.
Things like Face for the algorithm, where people post a selfie and then they have a caption in relation to Free Palestine and what's happening in Gaza. I've seen a lot of TikTok commenters commenting things unrelated to the post. So say if someone does a post on Free Palestine, the comments will ask things like, where did you get your top from? Or what battery percentage is everyone on?
That's effective because it increases engagement, which then gets the post in front of more people.
That's the primary benefit of you sharing Palestine content. It increases its ranking.
Is the watermelon another example?
I think the fact that the watermelon emoji has become like synonymous for the Palestinian flag is an incredible example of that activism we see online. Young people have identified something that can be used to be symbolic in relation to Palestine, yet will subvert the algorithmic censorship that they've been subject to.
Especially for us working in the broader China space, overcoming censorship is something that we often have to deal with.
We realize that the Chinese authorities' crackdown and oppression against human rights and democratic freedoms affects every single one of us.
Hong Kong activist Joey Su is currently living in exile because of her activism. There's a warrant out for her arrest if she returns to her home country.
We have been sticking with social media platforms except for TikTok. They have been issuing shadow bans on any of our content.
So a TikTok representative said that shadow banning isn't a thing. And I'm wondering what your response is to that.
We have also heard from Twitter that, for example, shadow banning is not a thing. However, what we have experienced is that we have seen activists whose usernames, when put into the search bar, it no longer appears. We have also seen how, on TikTok especially, how content about, anything that is in criticism of the Chinese Communist Party never showing in people's, home pages.
It's an always changing game of cat and mouse, with one side tweaking its algorithm and the other trying to get around it. Research shows that online activism has inspired real-world action. In fact, it's completely changed activism by giving organizers unprecedented reach to new audiences all around the world.
We've just never experienced in this kind of infinite connection that none of our parents or their parents could have even really imagined. Yes, it is absolutely because of these social media platforms, because they exist, but it is also because of the way primarily teen girls have pushed their usages, have reimagined the way you could use them to create change and create community.
So, Anya, terms like a day in the life videos or shadow banning, probably pretty new for some of our audience. Why does this all matter?
First, young people today get a lot of their information online. We've also seen that large groups are mobilizing on platforms like Instagram and TikTok to promote their agendas. Information battles play out online. Remember, these platforms make the rules, so they have a lot of power to determine what we can post and what actually makes it onto our screens. Finally, we rely a lot on social media to stay plugged in to ongoing crises. It's hard to get into Gaza right now, but social platforms expose us to people's stories on the ground. If content isn't moderated fairly, we could all miss out on important information.
There is so much here, and I know you'll keep following this story.
Absolutely. Throughout our reporting, we were surprised to learn how easy it is for large groups of people to manipulate the algorithm by reporting content even though it doesn't break the rules. I'd love to hear from more people and more creators to find out what they've gone through.
Anya Zolojowski, thank you.
Thank you so much, Ian.
So Anya is eager to learn about your experiences online. Whether you're a creator or someone who is following news events, you can send an email to thenational@cbc.ca and watch for her next story. Up next, two thrill seekers attempt to run faster than the New York City subway.
Is he gonna be coming? Maybe there he is!
How they fare in our moment. This is Joe Fowler zipping through the streets of New York City. He's on a mission to outrun the subway. He and his friend Tyler Swartz were frustrated with their morning commute, so they found a short subway ride between 14th and 18th Street, put on their running shoes, and tried it themselves. Tonight, their challenge is our moment.
Go, 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 go! We're seeing if Joe can outrun the New York City subway. Joe and I take the subway to work every day. Do you think he's gonna be able to do it? Think so? We always say to ourselves, why is this thing breaking down? We ought to outrun this thing one day.
So basically the plan was we Googled the shortest stops. I went first. We were a little bit naughty. We jumped the turnstile.
Come on! Where is he? The doors opened and we couldn't see Joe. I missed it. Wait, is he gonna be coming? Maybe there he is! Yes! And I was like, no way. And I put my hand out and Joe got on the train. It counts!
I run leisurely maybe once a week at most.
I'm a runner, and I wasn't able to do it. Running up and down stairs, that's not easy to do, and avoiding people, we got a dose of the New York City chaos. So It was awesome, and will we be back? I think so.
Yes, yes.
So depending on where you live in Canada, you think of what I'm thinking. Like in Vancouver, if you know the Canada line between Broadway City Hall and Olympic Station, that's 7 blocks, I think. Might be able to do it. Just don't bump into me as you're running from one station to another. It is downhill, by the way. For all of us here at The National, thank you for being with us. You can watch anytime, anywhere on the free CBC News app and subscribe to The National's YouTube channel. I'm Ian Hannamansing in Vancouver. See you tomorrow night.